All right, it's the fall of 1960, and some crazy group of human beings got the idea to start another professional football league, the American Football League, with the Dallas Texans, the Denver Broncos, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Oakland Raiders in the West. And in the East, the Boston Patriots, the Buffalo Bills, the Houston Oilers, and the New York Titans. I'm going to play the AFL 1960 Drive Time Football, 60, 61, 62. I'm going to play all 10 seasons of the AFL, but I'm going to do so with customized schedules. So the divisions don't change, and we're still going to play 14-game schedule, but I made the schedule. So it's a unique schedule for every season. I will not be replaying the 1960s per se. I will be playing the 1960 teams with a original schedule and the same division alignment, etc. So game 1 of 56 is going to be, the first game of the season happens to be, as I work it out, Denver at Oakland. The Denver Broncos are owned by Robert Howsam, coached by Frank Philcock. Their quarterback is Frank Tribuca. Their two halfbacks are Gene Mingo and Al Carmichael. Again, this is 1960, so you're running more of a traditional three backfield with the right halfback generally splitting out as a flanker. Sometimes they're literally in the backfield, and there is a right flanker depending on the team. And then Dave Roll is their fullback. Their left end receiver is Pat Epperson. The right end receiver is the one and only Lionel Taylor, one of the best receivers in AFL history. And Jim Greer, end/tight end, not a traditional tight end per se, but an end, but would be a tight end here. Punting the ball is George Herring. Place kicker is also Gene Mingo, the left halfback. And Al Carmichael, the right halfback, also does kick and punt return duties. They do have a punt return opportunity in every game. All right, on the flip side, the Oakland Raiders. We're playing today's game at Kezar Stadium. There's four games that we played at Kezar, and then they actually will finally be in Oakland. Owner Chet Soda. Coach is Ernie Erdelatz. Quarterback is Tom Flores, who would become future coach, as two-time Super Bowl champ as the coach, and eventual Hall of Famer for the Raiders. Tom Flores at quarterback, the first starting Hispanic quarterback in the history of professional football. Pretty cool. Left halfback Tony Teresa, right halfback Alan Goldstein, and Billy Lott at fullback. Wide receiver Charlie Hardy, wide receiver Gene Prebola, and tight end Doug Assad. Wayne Crow doing the punting duties, Larry Barnes place kicking duties, and kick and punt return duties are Jack Larsheed, who's also I believe he was a right halfback. But okay, so there we have it. That's the key players on offense and defense. Both teams are in a 4-3. Matter of fact, every team in 1960, their base defense was a 4-3, according to Pro Football Reference. I got all this information, by the way, from Pro Football Reference. And I wrote down the key interceptor. So if there's an interception, I'll know who I want to get that interception. All right, Denver gets the ball to start this game, and they get the kickoff. They do not have a kick return, so I'm not going to try it. So Denver's first drive of the game, let's see how they fare in the first game ever of the American Football League. In real life, I think the first game ever was Boston and Denver. I think the Patriots in Denver were the first game in real life in history, but I can't recall exactly. All right, it's going to be on the Raider defense, safety chance. The Raider defense does not produce a safety, so no chance of a safety. And that safety would only come up if it was a 12 anyway. 7 for the Raiders is red zone. So Denver Broncos drive down against the Raiders in the red zone. And remember, we're looking at defense. We're going to look at the Raider defense. So red zone, but our defense, which is sweet. These are the latest, greatest version of Drive Time Football. This is the DTF 14 or 1-4. I don't know if it means to be 14 or 1-4. But they have both offense and defense red zone. So it adds just that little sliver more of realism to how well teams played both offense and defense red zone. So the Raiders gave up 388 points. So probably going to give up something here. And 5, it will be a touchdown run. So that TD run we're going to give to Gene Mingo. So Broncos, Mingo with a run TD right out of the gate, and they can miss the extra point on 2 conditions. They do not, though. So the Broncos score the very first touchdown in my decade replay AFL schedule. I will be playing literally all 10 seasons with this brilliant game. All right, the Raiders get the ball. They do have a kick return. I think we're going to go ahead and make the roll right now. If I roll a snake eyes, we score a TD on a kick return. No, so that went our chance out the window for that. So let's see what our first drive-ins. In the offense, 6 is red zone for the Raiders. Raiders drive down. We're in offense. We get to use our red zone. And 10 is going to be a touchdown run for the Raiders. We're going to give that to Billy Lott, the fullback. Run for us. We miss an extra point on 1. PAT, it's 7-7. Raiders and Broncos both open up with touchdown drives for the first 2. The AFL being touted as the wide open game. The NFL is not. And so we'll see if that plays out. But right now, 7, it's 2 for 2 in drives in AFL. So we'll see if it is. All right, Denver gets the kickoff. Defense for the Raiders shows up again. 3 is a punt, so the Raiders will force a punt. The Raiders do not have a punt return, so we're not going to be checking punt returns. The Raiders on offense, they have a chance at a safety if I roll a 12. 8 is intercepted. So Tom Flores is intercepted by, and this is not good, and they had one of the top, matter of fact, they had the top interceptor. Goose Gonsolin picked off 11 passes. So Gonsolin will pick this off. He picked off 11. And they return it on a 5, folks. There's a very good chance Denver's going to score on a defensive interception. No, they don't do it, but they do intercept Flores. We have one more drive left in the first quarter, and it is the Denver Broncos. Let's see what they do with this. And Denver's going to go offense with a safety chance. No, 11 picked off. So the Raiders get Frank Tripucka back. Tripucka intercepted by... And the Raiders' top guy was Eddie Macon. And the Raiders can return this on 2 instances, 3 or 11. And the Raiders do not return it for a touchdown. Folks, the first quarter ends. It is 7-7. We have seen 2 touchdown drives, and we have seen both quarterbacks picked off by these defenses. All right, Oakland with the ball here to start this second quarter. And Oakland's going to go defense against Denver. 6 is red zone. We're going to be looking at Denver's red zone defense because it's defense. So red zone, and Denver 6 is going to give up a TD pass. So Flores makes up for his interception with a TD pass. 2, and we're going to give this to Prebola. PAT for the Raiders. Very nice, right down the field. So they actually do score on the points off turnover. They intercepted Macon. They intercepted Tripucka. And then they drove the ball down and threw a touchdown pass to Prebola against that Bronco. The Broncos gave up 393 points, so both these red zone defenses not too good. Here we go. The Denver Broncos, their drive is defense. Raiders 6 is red zone. Raiders give up a red zone drive. Missed field goal though, so Gene Mingo's gonna miss a field goal, and that's great news for the Raiders, and of course I will be rooting for my Raiders. The Raiders are my favorite franchise, so I will be rooting for them. But I will be playing fair. Defense for the Broncos. 10 is red zone, so the Raiders get a shot at the red zone again. And 3, it's going to be a field goal for the Raiders. That is going to be Larry Barnes. Barnes with a field goal, and the Raiders now take a 10-point lead. It is 17-7 Raiders, and Denver now has got to turn this into something. Here we go. Offense 10 for them is punt. The Raiders do not have a punt return, so we just keep playing. Final possession of the first half. 8 offense for the Raiders is intercepted again. Flores with his second. And if we keep doing that, we're going to be in deep trouble because they score on a 5, which is a little too good for my... we're going to give this one to Johnny Pyatt. And let's see if they return this. That was the final drive, so this could be an easy points for them. No, 6. Just dodged that bullet. But folks, Denver Broncos 7, Raiders 17 at halftime. Oakland gets the ball to start the second half. And let's see if we can make it 24-7 before Denver touches the ball. Offense 7 is red zone for the Raiders. We're looking at the Raiders, and the Raiders scored 319 points. Let's see how they do. 10 is TD run for the Raiders. We're going to give this one to Teresa. TD run. Extra point for the Raiders is good. And it is 24-7, and that's exactly what we needed to do. Buying us a lot of wiggle room now if the Broncos start to fight back. Offense for the Broncos 10 is punt. The Raiders do not have a punt return TD, so we will go on to the Raiders' next drive. Oakland, offense safety chance. Yes, there is, but fortunately I rolled 3. 3 is a punt for the Raiders. The Broncos have a punt return of 3, so we're going to try it. And this would be Carmichael. Al Carmichael fields it, and he does not take it back to the house. Denver, though, has the ball. Down 24-7. Denver on offense with 9 is picked off. So we've picked off Tripucka. Intercepted by, we're going to give this one to Alex Bravo. And the Raiders can return this on an instances of 3 and 11. And no TD for the Raiders. Oakland's final drive of the third quarter with an easy lead, 24-7 right now. Offense 7. The Raiders are going to drive into the red zone. We're looking at the offensive red zone numbers. 11 is touchdown pass. Flores having a beautiful opening day. He's thrown 2 picks, but we'll take those touchdowns. Pass 2. And we're going to give this one to out of the backfield to Teresa. And the PAT for Tony for the guys is good. And holy cow, folks! Teresa with a touchdown run, and Teresa with a touchdown pass in the third, scores 14 points. Denver shut out in the second and third. It is 31-7 Raiders. Denver opening the fourth quarter. Offense 7 is red zone for them. Finally, they're getting a look at their red zone. 8 is a TD pass for Frank Tripucka trying to come back. And this is going to be Taylor, no doubt Lionel Taylor, one of the single best receivers in AFL history. And their extra point is good. And that's what the Broncos needed to do, folks. They needed desperately to score that touchdown. The Raiders, offense 11 is punt. So the Raiders will punt. Broncos have already tried their punt return, so they can't do it again. Denver needs to score on every possession to make this interesting. Offense 4, fumble. The Broncos fumble. We're going to give this to the fullback roll. Fumble lost. The Raiders can return the fumble on a 3. And no fumble return. The Raiders, final possession of the game, up 31-14. Offense for the Raiders, 9 is punt. The Raiders have to punt in the fourth, but they're playing safe football. And Denver's final drive to make it interesting. Offense, safety, no. 5 is punt. The Broncos, we're just going to call this time expires. No one's going to punt if they don't have to. But Denver did get 7 in the fourth. And the Raiders are shut out in the fourth. It's going to be 14-24, 31-14, 0-1. Raiders are 1-0. That is game 1 of the AFL 1960 set. Denver at Raiders at Kezar Stadium. The Raiders start out with a fantastic performance. The Raiders saw Flores throw 2 interceptions, but he also threw 2 touchdowns. He had threw 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, so I'll take that. Tripucka threw an interception, and a touchdown. So Tripucka threw 1 TD, 2 picks. Flores threw 2 and 2. Mingo scored for Denver in the first. And, of course, Teresa scored for us. Oh, wait, we had a field goal, too. Right, Barnes. Let's see here. 10 points for us, 7, 10. 14 was Teresa, and Teresa catching a pass. That's what it was. And then a shutout. 31-14. Raiders win the first game of my 1960s. Again, I'm going to play all 10 seasons of these amazing drive time football teams. The only difference is I will make original schedules for every season. Thank you for watching. Good day.